one stopping. No little things, big things popping. Walking through my dreams, no trolling. Take the good and the bad, keep rolling. Negativity, face slapping. Stories being told, they capping. I got that vibe. I got that vibe, that vibe keeps me alive. I got that vibe. I got that vibe, that vibe keeps me alive. Move your body to the music beat. You gotta do you, I'll do me too. Cause it takes a village, true. And when I help me, I really help you. You help me too, we see each other through, yeah. You help me too, we see each other through, yeah. I'm vibing, I'm moving to that vibe. 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 Deep shit all around me, but I gotta go through just to ground me on the other side. Where the sky is blue, words are true, right point of view. Don't be confused. I got that vibe, that vibe keeps me alive. Now you hear the message clear. Stand up and have no fear. No fear, no fear, no fear. No fear, no fear, no fear. I got that vibe. I got that vibe. I got that vibe, that vibe keeps me alive. I got that vibe keeps me alive. Move your body to the music beat. You gotta do you, I'll do me too. Cause it takes a village, true. And when I help me, I really help you. You help me too, we see each other through, yeah. You help me too, we see each other through, yeah. You see now that you have you breathe. That vibe.
Hello. I'm getting annoyed already because everything is freezing and I don't understand. Come on. So anyway, today I just wanted to say hello. Again, I am trying to make sure that we're cool with the connectivity and whatnot. So hopefully everybody can hear me. I can hear me. But I'm just annoyed and whatnot about how everything is buffering. Like, this makes sense to me. I've been in contact with these people several times. But anyway, today we're going to talk about agoraphobia. And agoraphobia is a really interesting disorder. For those of you that are not familiar with what agoraphobia is, I will be telling you. It's pretty interesting. I have a lot of people that I get, advice from and information from and things like that. And some people don't really want to hear about this kind of stuff. And I implore you to notify me about what you want to hear about. And let's talk about that. But today, I've picked a topic that is really kind of like one of those things where know that everything has a name, right? Everything has a name. So what agoraphobia is, if you wanted to define it, is it's basically, especially after COVID, this comes rings true in many ways, because when we had COVID going on, obviously we had, excuse me, we were all confined to being at home, and a lot of us didn't leave the house, including, myself. But I was out and about. I basically had to find something to do, and what I found to do was I ended up working jobs where I could deliver stuff and pick up stuff and do things like that. So I kind of kept myself busy. But where I kind of fell short was later, after COVID has passed and everything, and having gotten back out and just experiencing things that I don't know. Once you hear the definition of agoraphobia, then maybe you'll get a better perspective, and maybe I can kind of horn in on what I have been feeling. But for the most part, I mean, I do get out. I do get out and about. A lot of the things that I do work-wise require me to stay in the house, more than they require me to get out. So with that being said, I'm at home a lot. I have my groceries delivered. I have a lot of different things, but a lot of things are about to change, because there are things that I'm going to start doing, including, getting my business out there in these streets. But I will be a little bit more on the scene. But for the most part, there are some of us that have dealt with things that we probably, as I mentioned, weren't familiar with, as far as being part of a situation that could create agoraphobia. And what agoraphobia is, it's a fear of places and situations that might, that could cause panic. And for some people who deal with agoraphobia, when they talk about these things to them are very, 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 very serious. And so they believe that, these can cause panic, helplessness, or embarrassment. And agoraphobia is an anxiety or a depression driven disorder. So for many people, it's because they suffer from anxiety. For others, it could be because of depression, unfortunately. So, okay, I've totally disappeared. Okay, there we go. Like, this is crazy. Anyway, so for many people, it is a form of, like I said, anxiety, and for others, a form of depression. But let's get into it and find out, what type of anxiety disorders. Agoraphobia is a type of, like I said, anxiety disorder. It's not what type, but a type. And then also a person with agoraphobia can be afraid to have environments, like I said, they just don't know or consider to be safe if they go out of the house a lot of times, or if they come out of the environment that they consider to be a safe place for them. And it basically there's really no treatment for it, and it's no cure for it. And some people that have it, it's believed that it does not go away. And it's very interesting, because there was one actor that not just one, but there's several actors and celebrities that do have this disorder. And Zach, really, I have no idea why this timer's going off in the middle of everything. One of the actors that suffered from this, that a lot of you may remember, his name is Zac Efron. And he was in, he played on Jeepers, why did I just lose that? I'll tell you in a minute. Anyway, so basically he has been suffering from this disorder for some time. And Baywatch, he was on Baywatch, and so Baywatch was the show that had all the nice bodies and everything, and he talked about how difficult it was to actually keep his body up for that role. But at the same time, he dealt with so many different situations, having been, an actor, he had to deal with a lot of different things. You guys see me going back and forth because Instagram's over here, YouTube's over here. Sorry, but I'm with you. But anyway, he recently told people in an interview, and it might not have been too recent, maybe sometime last year, like October of September, sometime of last year, that he was going to pull back somewhat in his life because he had been diagnosed with agoraphobia, the fear of leaving the home, the anxiety that a person might get because of leaving the home. So he decided that he was going to, basically deal with his anxiety disorder and find out what it involved, and the fear of why he was having these fears of getting into out in crowded spaces, or sometimes even leaving his home. So during that time, he talked a little bit about that in that People article, if you want to check it out. But he just basically said, I just don't know, don't go out. He's 34, and he told the People magazine that people in large groups, it triggers his agoraphobia. So I remember being a kid, and my mom hated crowds. She could not, it was really weird because, of course, when you're a little kid, you don't know anything like that. You're not familiar with what it is that is really going on with the adults around you. So, you hear things. My uncle used to tell us that when little kids are listening to what adults are talking about, is catching gaps. So funny, these old sayings or whatever. But for us, we just say they're being nosy, okay? But anyway, with all that being said, he went through, talking about Zach again, going through his anxiety in crowds and whatnot, and having to deal with these anxieties, of going out and about and stuff like that. He was just like, it just became overwhelming to the point where he was just like, forget it, I'm staying at home, I'm not going out. But he also had brought up an article where he was really going to try and just start dealing with his anxiety and his disorder, and whatever that means for him. It means obviously taking a little bit of time for him to get in a place where he could feel a little bit more comfortable, just being able to reveal these things publicly. But with that being said, he didn't really elaborate much more on like the fears that he had. And cancel. OMG. Why is everything coming in? Do not disturb. What is the problem here? Do not disturb. Okay? Something is just popping. I don't appreciate it. Anyway, so he didn't really go into what was, his fears were specifically, if it was this versus that and so on and so forth. But he openly spoke about his men's health, and how men tend to kind of shy away from being transparent about what they're going through, and I've talked about this before, how some people, men maybe, can point out what you got weak with you, but they don't want to they don't realize or acknowledge the fact that they have that weakness going on with them. And a lot of times, people are afraid to do certain things, especially on emotional scales. And when that happens, you don't want to call somebody out and tell them they're weak. But at the same time, when someone's calling you out, saying you have a weakness about certain things that you might have to learn about or whatever, I think it's all in presentation, not what you say, but how you say it. And so you begin to see and it can define the weaknesses of those people. So with that, anyway, Zac Efron, he's at Zac Efron on Twitter, and you could likely follow him and see where how he's faring with his disorder. Zac, Z-A-C, and Efron, E-F-R-O-N. But he hasn't always been healthy, he says. He's reinventing the wheel, so to speak, because he wants to do what's right. He mentioned that his body weight had to be less than 2 to 3% fat to be on Baywatch because of the way that he was just so built, but that he prefers to be more into the 2 to 3% range. And he's perfectly okay with that. And of course, we know that we're in a self-awareness time, and people are feeling so much more happy. They're feeling a lot more confident with their figure and their body shape and weight and size. And some people have gotten larger. Some people have lost weight. And so it's just a matter of comfort for everyone, where each person feels. I just hope that everybody is staying healthy, and being comfortable in their skin is definitely part of self-care and health and mental health. But you also want to maintain a healthy weight so that you're not incurring, causing additional issues and health problems to your heart, and the rest of you. But again, you're good. You should be most self-aware about what's best for you. Not that I'm judging, but when I read this article, and Ephraim brought out the things that he had been going through, it just goes to show you that you don't know what other people are dealing with. We don't know what people undergo and what kinds of things and discomforts that they have in life, but we can only hope that people that we communicate come into contact with the best part of health, so to speak. So it's important that you take care of you and that you do what's best for you. But anyway, with that being said, it is so important that we get into knowing more about different things that affect us. And it's really kind of interesting because you might feel like you're going through something, but that you don't know exactly what it is that you're going through. And so with that, we kind of teach ourselves here what is going on. But not only there's so many different forms of how we can get information, but here we're teaching ourselves how to help ourselves. And that's what hopefully we're getting out of this. Sorry, multitasking. But when it comes down to this disorder, one of the things about this disorder is that there are different ways that you can identify it. One thing is that what causes agoraphobia, it can develop, as into like a panic attack. People get panic attacks all the time, and it's crazy because when you get these panic attacks, I had one not long ago, and I guess they come in different ways, but I had never had one before. And so I believe it was my sister who told me, that's what that was. And I was like, what? I was like, are you kidding me? I had never had anything like that. So anyway, it was a panic attack from what we can tell. And when you have panic attacks, they are identified as, heavy breathing, your heart races, so many different things can happen. But, for sure, it's important for you to get in touch with your medical team and see what they're basically advising you. You know that when something's not right with you. And so when something is not right with you, it's important that you be able to identify that immediately, and maybe again get to your doctor, your PCP, your GP, general practitioner, or your primary care physician, and ask them for more information on what's creating the vibe you're feeling. So with that, like I said, we're basically getting into agoraphobia today. We're talking more about what this phobia does, what it prevents, and how it can be assisted. I know recently, for everything going on, I've heard a lot about CBT, which is cognitive behavior therapy, and basically all that is, and I don't want to just, put it into, make it seem like it's not important, but because it is. But basically, it is a therapy where we are able to speak to someone and have them assist us in the way that we are able to process what's going on with us. And I bring this up because I kind of felt like I was experiencing some of these characteristics, and it wasn't I don't know if the panic attack that I had at one point created this monster, but basically, I don't know. I just felt some kind of way in regard to this disorder, and I started looking it up, and I was like, why do I feel like I don't want to leave the house? Why do I feel like I want to be in the house? Sometimes when you go out, you'll go out with your partner, your boyfriend or girlfriend if you have one, or you'll go out with, family members or somebody that you feel safe, and you don't think anything of it. If somebody calls me and says that they need a ride or they want me to come, hang out or whatever, I'll go with them. But at the same time, when it comes back to it, I'll go right back home. And I remember just one thing that kind of kicked this into focus is because I just being out, people were just not clean. They're not healthy. They're not safe. They act like it's not a big deal for them to cough, especially after we have been through COVID and going through COVID and realizing that we had this whole thing going on. I mean, like, who really wants to be privy to this? Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to be in an environment with people where I feel like I'm being exposed to them being unsanitary, because we found out that there have been a lot of causes with these different diseases, especially diseases that have come from people not washing their hands after they use the restroom, stuff like that. And so we still don't have a lot of facts about COVID, and it just got me to a place where I was feeling very paranoid, and I'm not sure why. I'm completely vaccinated, and I'm good, but at the same time, I don't know. I guess I was just feeling some kind of way, and then, I process things slower than some people, and sometimes people can tell me something or give me advice or whatever, and when they do, it makes me feel excuse me, it makes me feel like their word is not bond necessarily over me like what you say is not necessarily true just because you say it. That's just your opinion. So hey, opinions are like, buttholes. Everybody has one. So I appreciate when someone gives me feedback and they're honest and they're telling me something. I'm like, oh wow, I can process that or whatever. But I've also lived in a work environment and where people say things because they want to tear you down because they're already weak, and I just already know that. And I know that, but at the same time, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because maybe I believe in what they say. So I kind of go, by what they say. But at the same time, this can be something that I want to say stimulates, but that's not what I mean. This could be something that, brings on some of your the agoraphobia traits. Is somebody saying, oh, get over it, you're okay, you're this, you're that, but they may not understand the disorder or the things that you go through. So basically they're talking to you in a way that has been traditionally taught to us to do. like get over it, and you can do this or you could do that or whatever. But you never know. You have to be careful nowadays. You can't say shit to nobody. Shit, you really can't. It's like people, and I'm not saying that these things are not true. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just kind of annoyed at the fact that there's something for everything. It's like, I don't know, and I'm not sure if many of you feel the same, but I can't tell if it's because there is a reason or there isn't really a reason. We're just finding reasons. I don't know why I keep disappearing off the screen. I'm just like over this whole thing. I don't know how to best fix the situation with the StreamYard. And as it is today, like, I am not vibing things. I'm just, I was in the middle of organizing my apartment and trying to get things done. And then I was like, oh no, it's almost time for me to do my show. I need to jump in the shower, and hopefully my makeup don't look as slapped on as as I had to do it. But anyway, I was just in a mood. How sometimes you get in a mood. I was in a mood, and I wanted to go out and do my roller skating, but I don't want to go until I'm finished, because if I don't finish it, you won't finish it. So that's the reason why I'm trying to get it done. But at the same time, like I said, I just had this feeling or this like vibe, and I don't know. I wasn't really in the mood to do much. But with all that being said, I do want to start changing things up a little bit on my show, and that's going to entail a couple of things, and as it comes, I'll share more with you. But for the most part, I want to be open to your suggestions, and I know that I'm just starting out, and I know I'm going to succeed. And it's hard for people to jump on your bandwagon sometimes, because they are doing what they got to do, and maybe they don't believe in you like you believe in you, and that's okay. I do. But for the most part, I want to start doing things a little bit different, so that I get more people that can join us and participate. But with all that being said, like I said, this fear that I'm talking about, being in a situation where escape might be difficult, or that help wouldn't be available if anything went wrong, or maybe you feel like if you get out you're going to have a wreck, or you're going to have some type of accident or something like that. And it's really interesting, because while part of it is reality, yeah, it's true, you might get out and you might not have anyone to protect you or to be there or whatever, but at the same time, the reality is that that's true of everyone. You know what I'm saying? That's true of everyone that's out there. But you might have trouble visiting, riding on public transportation. And I was just really tripping off this, because when I looked at it, I was like, yeah, I hate public transportation. But when I was in New York, I don't know why, I loved riding on the subway. It was just very interesting. It's not the cleanest place, but then maybe they've cleaned it up now. But the thing of it was that there are people on the subway, and those people on the subway, no ma'am, they're not clean at all. So it's very, very funny that when we talk about different things, we get into this, discovery that, wow, I didn't realize that this was something that I was doing, when I was on the subway, and I was fine. But I don't like taking the bus. The bus drives me insane, mainly because it's like always something going on the bus. So for me, different things, play a part in what I feel. But for the most part, I just didn't grow up in the city. And my cousin brought this up to my attention the other day, and she was like, I said, well, maybe people just think that, I'm bougie. And she's like, no, we just didn't grow up in the city, and we didn't. And so because we didn't grow up in the city, excuse me, sometimes that makes an effect or plays an effect on how you respond to city things. And even to the point where, when you go out, when you first see the homeless population here in LA, we're always taught, don't stare at folks. Don't look at them like, there's some kind of a, whatever. And the homeless people here almost expect you to stare at them, because basically, they're very complacent and happy about where they are, what they're doing, and how they're doing it. So they don't have a problem with people looking at them and staring at them. But when it comes down to it, and you are new to this environment, it is very like, wow, what the feezy is going on? What's happening with this person and that person and whatever? And how they sometimes you'll be walking down the street and they'll be talking to themselves or different things like that. So it makes you want to stare. It does, I'm not gonna lie. It makes you want to stare, and it makes you want to be, pay attention to that person a little bit more than you would normally do. So when we're talking about agoraphobia, and how this plays into the situation, we talk about how you don't want to go out in certain types of transportation, public transportation, and be around that type of environment. An agoraphobic is going to feel that they can't be around those types of scenarios and places and people, because they think that some type of harm is going to happen to them. Someone like myself who, feels like I'm just trying to gauge my surroundings and understand what's going on around me, but at the same time not really trying to be a negative factor to that person or be disrespectful to and around someone who is living on the street. But a lot of people, this is what they choose. They're comfortable with it. They're happy in their skin. Maybe they're complacent. Maybe they're fine with where they're at. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're aspiring to be better and get in a better place. Whatever. Sorry, something's in my eye. But again, the difference between maybe someone who appears to be one way versus the other, definitely with the disorder, you would know if you have this disorder, because theoretically it prevents you from wanting to leave the home, leave your house, leave the surrounding that you're in that might make you feel a lot more safe when there's no one in there but you, or people that you are used to being around. So that's one thing. As I mentioned before, when someone finds themselves in an attack of agoraphobia, they're going to first feel that panickiness, that a person would experience during a panic attack. And so, rapid heartbeat, and, they're hyperventilating, and they feel like, hot and sweaty, and they feel nauseated, different things like this. So with that being said, these are things that, again, you want to pay attention to, and then contact the right medical staff and medical team if you feel that you're a victim of this or have somehow are dealing with this. Now, we've talked in previous weeks about anxiety, and anxiety is one of those things that you could definitely speak to your provider about as well. And like we talked about, things that can cause agoraphobia, or different things that have happened in the past. So you just have to be cautious and look at things and different signs, because medication wise there isn't really any medication, but chronic behavior, chronic, it's not chronic, it's it's cognitive behavior therapy is available. And again, that is working with the therapist, working with someone who can help you to get into a better place with the situation. So that's what's important. Now, the other things that I wanted to talk about is, how does this affect our young people? Like right now, we see a lot of suicides, and I am just flabbergasted with our young population, because I'm not sure if it's happening because of peer pressure or drug related, or if they don't have the family support. But there are support groups that are out there that can help you to talk about this and to get to a place where you feel comfortable enough to make sure that you are trying to fix what's going on, and that you don't feel like death by your own hands is the only way you can fix this. And I'm just hopeful that, suicide is not an option for any of you. I know it is overwhelming what the mind can do and how it can affect us, and not only that, but not only how it can affect us, but how it plays games on us, tricks on us. And then, like I said, there are people that try to communicate with you, and when they communicate, the form of communication that they have is not really nice. It's not really helpful, because the way that maybe they were talked to as kids or as adults is definitely not something that someone else might be able to identify with, because you've never been talked to that way. Maybe you've never understood what the scenario that they've been in, and versus what you've been in. But I knew a friend, and this is a side point, not necessarily a point, but to the point is that she was white, and she grew up in Missouri, and her mother was she had mental illness, but it was discovered later. Long story short, the mother was a result of an affair her mother had, but didn't know that. And so when she ended up pregnant and by a black man, her mom kicked her out of the house. And to my point of when I say people, you don't know what they've been through and what they've experienced. She didn't know anything about how she was going to survive. She didn't know anything about food stamps. She didn't know anything about welfare. She didn't know anything about any of this. And then through people that she met on the, I won't say on the street, because she ended up going to different places, and I can't remember the complete story, but my point to the story is that for her, she had to learn how to survive. And the same concept would go to someone that's dealing with agoraphobia. You might sit there and talk bad to them or negative to them, and you may not understand what they've been through in their life. So you might talk to them like you've been talked to by your parents, who just talk to you, a certain way that allows you to speak to other people that way. And so you have to be careful, because my point about my friend was she didn't know, but she discovered how to live and find out how she could live as a single white female, having a biracial child, and her parents disowning her. That was crazy, but she had to figure it out. Whereas someone that may have agoraphobia or another disorder, they're incapable of figuring things out without proper therapy. So if someone gaslights them or says something to them in a way that will cause harm to, or cause them to have an attack, then they could potentially harm themselves. And so that's where I come full circle around talking about our youth, and the suicide rate right now is ridiculous. And again, I said this before, people always talk about 7 years, things repeat itself. And I remember years ago, people would kill themselves. And I mean, I can't see, thankfully, something happening to where I would want to do that. But I can't say that I haven't been depressed, so I get it. But I just pray for those people, and for those that are experiencing those kinds of things, that they not resort to that first, but that they try and get the help that they need from someone that can help them. So that, again, when I was talking about cognitive behavior therapy, I think this is really kind of cool, because what it does is it basically, again, allows you to, you're speaking to someone who's teaching you about different techniques that you're able to utilize to help you to overcome some of the disorders and anxieties that you have, and also teaching you how to cope with things, when they come up. When we talk about the therapy, because again, there's not necessarily any medication for this, but the cognitive behavior therapy is a behavioral therapy and talking, that can help to manage your depression or your anxiety, but your problems, by changing the way you think and behave, and giving you focus points, focal things that you can focus on. And it's based on the concept of thoughts and feelings and physical sensations and actions, and interconnected, that are in your actions that are interconnected and negative with, and that negative thoughts and feelings can trap you in a negative cycle. Now, we talk about a lot of different things that keep us complacent and keep us in the same moment, same place. So it prevents you. If you want to be rich, how are you going to be rich? If you want to be successful, how are you going to be successful? And of course, when people that suffer from these types of disorders, it prevents them from doing that. And there's some people that believe that once you reach a certain age that you can't succeed, monetarily or whatever, so that you have to reach this, success, by a certain time frame, or you won't get there. So with that being said, it's so important for you to take care of yourself, for us to take care of ourselves, for us to be, healthy, and to keep us in a good space with ourselves, because unfortunately we can go off the deep end and no one be there to help us. So again, people, that are out here in these streets, as they say, a lot of people that are out here, they're really not trying to look at it from the perspective of someone needs help, because now people are kind of selfish, right? And when I say selfish, I don't just mean selfish meaning you need to do things for yourself. I mean selfish where they don't care about you because they don't think you care about them. So it's a negative impact, and those negative feelings can bring on negative responses and actions, and those are not necessarily the people that someone that's experiencing, agoraphobia, that would agoraphobia, some people say agoraphobia, others will pronounce it that way, but agoraphobia, I would say would be the most appropriate way, because if you say aggregate, agitate, it's kind of like that, I guess, would be coming from that meaning. But there's other disorders that people want to associate this with, like bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder. A lot of these are, again, a lot of anxiety type driven. And anxiety, again, is a broad umbrella used to describe many disorders. So if you or someone is experiencing these, I'm going to leave links, and I'm going to leave support groups and places and people that you can speak with, and how you can fix whatever's going on with you. I have, like I said, have experienced depression and anxiety, and I just feel like everything is closely knit, because when it comes to the mental, it puts us in a place where if we're experiencing things that we perhaps hadn't been aware of that could put us in this place, then we have to figure out how we're going to get out of there, right? And some of these disorders sound like if you get so far, you may not be able to just find a way out of it. So that's a little scary to me. But schizophrenia and sleep disorders can all be relative to agoraphobia. So it's important that, again, you speak with someone. And it seems like CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, is becoming very, very popular. I've heard it so many times on some of the reality shows where they're saying, do you think you would benefit from CBT? And then somebody thought they said CBD, CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. So you may want to look more into that. I'm going to leave links or what have you. But today I'm going to try just doing an hour. Again, I want to try different approaches to my podcast, my live podcast, and see where we go and how I go and how far I can expand. I'm just hoping that, you guys get just as much out of this as I have been getting out of it. Like I said, there are days where I don't feel like doing anything and I don't want to be done, but I still keep going because this is my goal and dream. And then there are other things, and I'm sponsoring some stuff that I'll talk about more in the future. And so by being a sponsor to those things, I'll be attending some events that will help me to, practice me getting out in society even more. And not like I said that I have the problem with that, but sometimes I question, which way do I go? Do I go left? Do I go right? Do I go up? Do I go down? And that's just because of me being complacent with where I've been, in the process of me trying to be successful and become more powerful with my words for you and me and all of us to heal. I definitely have been looking for the right avenue to take. So there have been some things that have been brought to my attention, and there have been some things that I'm willing to try, and things and ways I'm investing in myself. So I will share those with you in the coming days. But for the most part, I wanted to kind of go over agoraphobia and how that has affected some people and myself in some ways, but also how I feel I can benefit from learning about different ways to get out and about and help myself. And that can help you as well. But I will also put the links below, and I will share all this with you. But for the most part, I again am closing out after 1 hour today, just kind of giving you an idea of what you like best and what you want to see the most out of Dina Marie Live. I also am open and to your thought process on topics. If you want to hear about something specific, if you would like to join me on the show and talk about certain things that you have going on, your jewelry, your hairline, your clothing line, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be about emotions. It doesn't have to be about relationships. It doesn't have to be anything about life specifically, because at this point, the trajectory of my show is going in a direction that's going to be more advantageous to you, the viewer, and the listener. And so because of that, I am open to all of your ideas and all of your, what the directions that you want to go as well. So keep me abreast. DM me, inbox me, Facebook Messenger, whatever works for you. Please send that out, and I'll be more than happy to respond, and we can talk about it and chop it up. But I definitely would like your input and your ideas, because this is a live show, but it also is me wanting to talk to you. And I don't want to just talk about something that you're not interested in, and I don't want to talk about something that maybe sounds boring to you, or you come on the channel and you tune in and tune off. I want you to put in, have input as well, and say, hey, I want to know what your thoughts are. Like I said, this live is going to end today an hour early, because again, I want to try different things, and I'm probably going to start coming on more often and having, like little smaller time, and where we can talk with different things. And so if you are one of the people that would like to be featured on my show, I'll be happy to sit and talk with you, and you can talk about whatever it is that you are doing and what your hustle and your grind is. So please, you guys, keep in touch. Reach out to me, hit me up, DM me, message me. I'm here, and I definitely want to have you participate more in this live. And please remember to like and subscribe if you like what you hear. If you don't like what you hear and you think you have input, please let me know. I know that I get a lot of DMs from people about me hiring them to help me monetize and grow and different things like that, but I just feel like I want it to be organic, and I just don't believe that some of those people are able to give me more viewers and subscribers that would stick around. So that's the reason why I'm asking you. And again, I'm going to blow up and glow up. And I just hope you're there to see it and share. So again, this has been another Dina Marie live presentation. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope that you again will like and subscribe down at the bottom there. And the little bell will notify you of any and all things that I will host and that you can participate in. But I appreciate you 110%, and I thank you for tuning in today. And we will go out again like we always do on one of my songs, and today it's that vibe. So I look forward to seeing and hearing from you guys. See you next week. Thank you. It has been a pleasure.
Waking up in the middle of the night with the woes of the world is fight or flight. Gonna dance, ain't no one stopping. No little things, big things popping. Walking through my dreams, no trolling. Take the good and the bad, keep rolling. Negativity, face slapping. Stories being told, they capping. I got that vibe. I got that vibe, that vibe keeps me alive. I got that vibe. I got that vibe, that vibe keeps me alive. Move your body to the music beat. You gotta do you, I'll do me too. Cause it takes a village, true. And when I help me, I really help you. You help me too, we see each other through, yeah. You help me too, we see each other through, yeah. I'm vibing, I'm moving to that vibe. 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 Deep shit all around me, but I gotta go through just to ground me on the other side. Where the sky is blue, words are true, right point of view. Don't be confused. I got that vibe keeps me alive. Now you hear the message clear. Stand up and have no fear. No fear, no fear, no fear. No fear, no fear, no fear. I got that vibe. I got that vibe. I got that vibe, that vibe keeps me alive. I got that vibe keeps me alive. Move your body to the music beat. You gotta do you, I'll do me too. Cause it takes a village, true. And when I help me, I really help you. You help me too, we see each other through, yeah. You help me too, we see each other through, yeah.